you also offer services about Dr. Simon, right?
Yes. Now, Dr. Simon, I started channeling him in 2018. Um, and it was on a trip. I was making trips to the inn, like I said, and interacting with Lily. And then she'd say, tell me what, look around and tell me what you see. And when I came in, it was of June 21st, I believe, of 2018. And I said to her, when I sat down, we're the only ones there, okay? And there were 9 symbols on the wall. They weren't on the wall, but they were right up by the wall, okay? And I, she said to me, pick out one and, see which one that you feel, looks, feels right to you. And so I picked out one. There were maybe about 2 feet by 2 feet. I mean, there were triangles and, the different geometric shapes in that. But then there was the one that I felt of the tesseract, the energy of the tesseract. Well, the energy of the tesseract in our, because it's the fourth dimensional, fourth density figure, geometric shape in that. So in ours, it looks like it's a cube within a cube. So it showed up sort of like a cube for me, but I knew that I wasn't seeing the total figure. But I said, it feels like the tesseract to me. And as soon as I said that, the tesseract moved from by the wall that we were over on the corner of the tavern and became very large. And she said to me, okay, you can step through that because each facet of it is a dimensional doorway. The tesseract is very, very exciting. And back in 1997, I had a dream about the tesseract, and we did the tesseract party for 45 people, and that is also in the on bashar.org. Yeah, you haven't heard about that?
Well, I've heard of a transmission called the Tesseract. Is that it?
That's it.
Is that
that was from my party in July of 1997.
It was your party, huh? Yeah, you had it at your house?
Oh, yeah, we had 45 people at my house. In February of that year, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was a scientist. And I was male, and I was a scientist, and I was on a military base. And I was in on a Saturday, and I had this project. And now I talked to Bashar about it and explained it to him, a day or two later, because you have to remember we were seeing Bashar 2-3 times a week at that time. And so in this dream, and then I said there was either a small person or a young boy. And so in the other room, there was, and I was telling Bashar about it, I said there was this huge, huge box, and this kid or small person disappeared into the box. And when I said box, he said tesseract. I'd never heard of a tesseract before. So he said, I said, what is a tesseract? And he said, well, like I just said, in your, your dimensional reality, you would see it as a cube within a cube. Okay. And then he said dimensional doorways and everything. And the kid went in, and then when he came out, he brought lots of money with him. and then Bashar said to me, well, what did you bring out? And I said, I didn't. That was, I was the scientist. I'm the one that built it in the dream. So then when we would meet afterwards, Bashar had me, I didn't do it. I had a friend of mine do it, but to make a little tesseract, and an engineering friend of mine he just did it out of wire, and then I wire wrapped it with green tape and everything. So I brought that in, and then everybody was talking about the tesseract. He was telling us more about it, how you can go into the dimensional doorways and bring back anything that you want. Okay. So this all went on, and then in July, we decided to have a tesseract party. So we had, I moved some furniture around. I had a big house at the time, and we had 45 people in there. And so we met like about 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. So we decided, and a lot of the Bashar people were there. In fact, most of them were Bashar people. And so we put all of our questions together so that we'd have uniform questions about the Tesseract. And
Oh.
then we just had, and then we had potluck dinner and around the backyard in the pool. And then about 7 o'clock, we had Bashar. Daryl came in and channeled Bashar on the Tesseract. We went for about 2.5 hours. It was a great meditation, the whole thing.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And he went into not just the Tesseract, but he went into all the geometric shapes and everything. It's quite interesting.
Wow. I'll have
If
to get that
anybody's
one.
if anybody's interested in that.
Gotten that one yet.
So I'm getting back to Dr. Simon. So when I went into the Tesseract in the tavern, I saw a man in a white coat, doctor's coat. He's human. He's about 6'2", brown hair. I didn't see his face. He was like sideways, and he was working on a 10-year-old boy energy field. I could see the energy field. I could see the colors of it. I could see what Dr. Simon was doing in manipulating the energy field into alignment. And I just observed all that. And then when I came out, because she told me it was one of my parallel lives, and when I came out, I said to Lily, I get the feeling that he lives in maybe the year 2050. And she said, no, 2065, because that was 3 years ago. And the next day, I didn't know what his name was or anything, but the next day he contacted me, told me he was Dr. Simon. And I, at that period of time, was I had real bad sciatica and was like a couch potato with ice and pain pills and the whole thing. He started working with that, and I was on the left side, and then he took that pain away, and then it became on the right side, and then he took that away, and then a knee. I need a knee replacement in the right leg, and I was under doctor's cortisone shots for about 1.5 years before I met him, and then the pain would come back before you could get another shot. So he just did a treatment on that, and I have had no problems with it. It's like it never happened.
Wow. So you didn't have to get surgeries or
Nothing, no.
Oh.
And it doesn't hurt or anything. I mean, it's just like it never, like that 1.5 years that I was getting the shots and the x-rays showed that it's bone on bone. Now it may still be bone on bone, I don't know, but but it doesn't hurt, and it's as if it is perfectly fine. And then he worked with some other things, and it wasn't until he only worked with me, and it wasn't until December of that year that he started working with a friend, Liz, who had been working with Lily for a long time, for about 3 years. And so anyway, and he had a session with her. She couldn't breathe. She was crying. And she said, can I have a Lily session? And I said, sure. And then Lily, what she did is energetically took her to the inn in her private quarters, and Dr. Simon was there. And so this is the only time that this happened this way. So Dr. Simon was working on her chest, and she said she couldn't breathe. She felt there was a lot of sludge and all of this kind of stuff in it. And then Lily was telling her, okay, what Dr. Simon was doing, and then asking, okay, now how does that feel better? That went on for about 1.5 hours. When she finished, she could breathe, finally breathe about 90% better. I didn't know. I'd been talking, and Liz is a friend of mine now, but I've been talking to her. I didn't know that she had had asthma since the time she was 2 years old. She lives in Australia, and she had asthma since she was 2. She was always in and out of emergency rooms and bronchitis and all of that. And she's like 40. She was like 45 years old or so at the time. So she was about 100% within a few days. Within about 3 weeks, she was no longer taking her medication, and she was no longer using the what do you call it, the inhaler. And she doesn't have asthma today.
Wow.
And so then in the next year, that was in 2018. So in 2019, then he started working with with Liz and then other people.
Uh-huh. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, he has, and we've come a long way. He's worked with so many people and has really helped. And then of course, anytime I get a ache or pain or something like that, he works with me. So he's keeping me in good shape.
Yeah, that's really a unique way of healing.
Yeah, I posted it where many people might have seen it on the Bashar group where
Mhm.
June of that year, Liz had burnt her boiling hot water
Mhm.
on her thigh, her right thigh. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And she took pictures of it, and it was like a second-degree burn.
Mm.
And every day she'd take pictures, and she only had a half-hour session with Dr. Simon, and
Mhm.
within 14 days, it was like healed. And she never had any kind of um, scar or anything from it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was very dramatic because that's you can see physically where the rest
Yeah.
of it is energy wise, and
Mhm.
how you feel, and that like he took my sciatica away and I don't have it today, and the things that he works with people for OCD, and the whole thing.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Then the
Man.
other person that I offer is Dr. Michaels. The boy that Dr. Simon was working on, the 10-year-old boy in
Yeah.
the test rack. Well,
Mhm.
I found out when I was talking to Bashar in October of 2019. He told me that that boy was actually one of my parallels.
Oh,
And then the
wow.
next night when I was driving down to the hotel for the
Mhm.
next Bashar session, I was asking, I was talking to Dr. Simon about it, and he told me that his name was John Michaels. Well, I found out that then he is the son of Dr. Julian Michaels, who lives at the center. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, I should back up and say Dr. Simon in Colorado has an enlightenment center.
Mm.
And so Dr. Michaels resides there. Um, and he is a energy healing veterinarian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he is not my direct um, incarnation,
Mm.
but the son,
Uh-huh.
John, is my parallel. The
Mhm.
interesting thing is, I'll make it short, but a friend of mine who I've known for 30 years, we were talking, and she was working with, in the past, was working with horses, and she had just made a comment when we were talking that I wish I could channel an an equine, horse doctor like you, Dr. Simon. And so
Mhm.
then Dr. Simon said, yes, there is one, and then we found out, of course, that that was Dr. Michaels. And so Dr. Michaels is her parallel.
Oh, okay.
Mm. That's the first connection I've ever had with somebody that I know,
Uh-huh.
that it is their parallel, and then my parallel is the sun.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so then when I was working with clients with Dr. Simon, uh, the one of my clients, Cindy, had said, well, do you know, does Dr. Simon work with animals? And I said, no. I said, he doesn't. Um, but I said, I'll check with him. I said, because Dr. Michaels does. And so we set up an appointment and worked with her dog,
Mhm.
uh, and did a healing on that. And then about the next week, one of my other clients who had been working with Dr. Simon for a while said the same thing. And I said, well, interesting that you asked. And so started working with her two dogs and a cockatiel.
Oh.
And we've been working with her. In fact, she just had a session 2 days ago
Uh-huh.
for her two dogs. The cockatiel died. They're older, and so she's just not trying to. She knows that they can't be healed and saved because they're close to dying, but to make them comfortable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that sounds like a very magical career you have of doing that kind of
It
thing.
it is, and then I posted recently that I met Zitek, who
Oh yeah.
is the gray
Mhm.
that 30 years ago. I didn't mention to Bashar. 30 years later, I had an encounter going out to the desert in California in July. This was in 1990.
Mhm.
uh, Took four friends and we said, hey, why don't we see if we can see a spacecraft? So we went out to the desert, and the one woman there was nothing around. I mean, it was pure desert, but she either owned the lot or knew somebody that owned this property, and it had a fire ring, and so we brought that along. We brought drinks and made our chairs, made ourselves comfortable, and we got there like about 11:30 at night, and we just sat and around. About an hour later, this spacecraft showed up. It was like a disc, the regular. Now I know that it's a regular gray ship where it has the lights that go
Mhm.
around.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and it was very close to us, and it hovered not very far off the ground,
Mhm.
and it sat there for about 20 minutes.
Hmm.
And we all took turns telepathically. Well, there's only a couple of us. Then we took turns telepathically talking with the people, the beings inside. I
Mhm.
thought it was plating. I got the feeling it was plating. I don't know anything about the Greys or the Grey ships, and other than the abduction scenario. So, and I don't remember what we said or anything. But here we are, 30 years later, in October of 2019, and I asked Bashar about it, and he told me it was the Greys.
Mhm.
And so when I said that I wanted to know more, tell me more about it, it was
Yeah.
the first time in all the 38 years that I've known Bashar that I've never had him say to anyone else either. He said, I can't tell you in public.
Uh-huh.
You'd have to do it in private. So then they entered. I was a little later, and they contacted me, and I asked why. He
Mhm.
couldn't tell me, and they said because we asked him not to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so then Zitek, in May of this year, turned on the lights, some of the lights in my house, the little Christmas lights that I have in the plants and that, when I was
Mhm.
sitting there, and he turned it on. I didn't know his name was Zitek or that. They had done some automatic writing with me, but they didn't give me a name or anything. And um, they're the ones, I should tell you that Dr. Simon works with probes and wands. Okay,
Mhm.
and the first probes and wands was given to him by Dr. Alicio, and Dr. Alicio is an energy healing doctor, and she's from the Yael. She is a parallel of mine,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and she lives at the center also. Okay, and that technology came from those probes and wands. Came from Dr. Alicio and the Yael civilization that he uses with the clients when he's working on them,
Oh.
energy. And
Uh-huh.
Bashar told me at the time, she said they're wave guides, and I said, well, he calls them wands, and it's the same thing. Um, so now, when the Gray, and he told me that they were a special faction. He said they're a special faction of the Grays. Okay, so when he was talking, he now gave some probes, some special um, waveguides. Okay,
Mhm.
wands from the Greys. Now Dr. Simon has those, and he's using those, and it works. These particular ones, the probes, works with the energy field, and it automatically, if it's working, say he's working on the lungs, or if he's working on the heart, it automatically adjusts to the vibration, because each disease has its own vibrational frequency. I don't know if you knew that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you know that. Yeah, well, you know that. You work with your massage and everything like that, and energies. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know that. And so it automatically, if he's working on the heart, it is automatically adjusting to the vibrational frequencies of the heart and moves around on depending on what part of the body he's working with. And that's from the Greys.
Wow. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pretty.
you're able to use that in your healing work.
Oh, I don't do healing work. I'm not a healer.
Oh, really? I thought well,
No.
when you channel.
When I channel him, and he's the healer.
Uh-huh.
Because see, this is so interesting because never in my wildest dreams, I've never been into the medical or anything like that. And in my wildest dreams, I would have never have thought that an energy healing doctor from the future would be channeling through me and working with clients' energy fields to do healing.
Ah,
It's
that's
very,
interesting. So
very.
you're not, but you understand some of what he's doing. You're just facilitating it.
Yes, I'm facilitating, and I also um, do my because you need to know, because I didn't know anything really. I mean, I was my advocate for my husband. He had kidney disease, and so I'd always look up anything that came up with any disease. I'd always Google it, and make myself knowledgeable about it, so you can talk intelligently with the doctors. Okay, well,
Mhm.
I do educate myself now on the different diseases,
Mhm.
so that, and also I have to have the vocabulary because, as to be able to access through me, you have to also, my vocabulary has to have that in my brain.
Ah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you are picking up some of it, the medical side of it.
Right. So
Mhm.
I just need to have, I don't need to know how all about it, but I just need to have the terminology and the knowledge. So I have learned so much about the human body.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, are you learning about that device at all that he's using? Like, well, you know how it works, basically. Are you picking up anything else about it, or you just kind of let him do what he does?
Oh, no, I experience it when he uses it on me.
Uh,
Just like people, it depends on how sensitive you are.
mhm,
Some people, when he's using the probes, I mean, they can feel the probe going in with the energy, and it's like a massage and the whole thing. Okay.
mhm,
And with the wands, he usually starts off with taking the wand and do the whole body for inflammation. And if you're sensitive to that, you can feel, that energy sort of going out into the wand
mhm,
or the wave guide. But no, other than I know that it's been described that it's tubular, and he usually describes it to people like the probe. He'll say, the probe's about 8 inches long, and comes to the point, and it works this way, and because he'll talk to people when he's working on them
okay. Mhm.
and describe what he's doing.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Through
Mm-hmm.
you, right?
He's channeling. I channel him just like I
Mhm.
do Lily
Uh-huh.
and everybody else. Conscious channel. He just, and it's in my own voice. None of them are not in my own voice. Although Zitek, I'm going to start channeling him. He wants to start channeling, and that will probably not be in my own voice. I'm beginning to think.
Oh.
But the others are, it's Dr. Simon. It's my voice, but yeah, he's working with the clients. He's working with their energy field through me.
Mhm. So, what do you think Zitek is going? Is he going to be helping with medical things too, or is that something else?
No, I'm thinking I'm not uh, positive right now, but I think he's going to be more open to questions than that, like with Bashar.
Oh, okay. Just general questions.
Yeah, at this time, we haven't discussed it. That's just the feeling that I get.
Okay.
Oh, and also I asked him, I didn't get my question answered,
Oh, you
you know,
didn't.
on
Mhm.
the, what is it? The
Live stream.
Coca,
Oh,
yeah, Coca, Aka,
oh,
Luca.
yeah.
So I figured that I didn't get it because then I asked him direct from the
Mhm.
horse's mouth, and
Yeah.
he said he is from those beings from that civilization.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I knew he's from Andromeda.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So that will be interesting to find out about that now.
Yeah.